If something has gone wrong in the world, the chances are someone is trying to fix it. And here on People Fixing the World from the BBC World Service, we find the people who are trying to do just that. BBC World Service podcasts are supported by advertising.
Today we're looking at alternative ways people have found to prevent water scarcity. Now, we've just heard how they're using a liquid clay to lock moisture in desert soil in the US. But water scarcity isn't just a problem in dry regions. It can also occur in areas that experience flooding. This is because many communities don't have the resources to collect and store the water from heavy rains. One person who knows all about this is Kinjal Ba, a mother of 3 in the state of Gujarat in India.
When I got married 10 years ago, we weren't in a good economic situation. My husband's family had to take on debt to pay for the wedding. The earnings we made from farming were meager and not enough for our family. 5 years ago, our land would get waterlogged during monsoon and we could not harvest a crop.
Kinjal Ba's husband owns a few acres of land, but they could only grow crops during a 4-month window in winter. After that, the soil was baked in the sun and then was swamped during the monsoon rains. But that's where our solution seeker comes in. Biplab Paul had seen how this problem was affecting people across the whole of India.
More than 50% of Indian farmers are small-scale farmers. For the smallholder, less than 1 acre is average. So they have to walk a tightrope. If the land is submerged in water for more than 2 weeks, then your standing crop is totally rotten. You cannot do any cultivation next year also because the water percolation cannot take place.
Back in the late 90s, Biplab saw how small-scale farmers struggled with long dry spells followed by an overflow of water from floods, and that gave him an idea.
I started off thinking this wild idea, if we can lift the water and put it underground, then land is free. And then the same water, if we can lift it up and give it back, then irrigation is free.
Biplab's idea was to drill a deep hole and place a long hollow pipe inside. This would draw rainwater downwards and store it in the tiny spaces in the rocks and sediment underground. It would then be pumped back up to the surface when needed. Sounds simple, but it turned out to be quite the journey.
Honestly speaking, it took more than 17 years. I started trialing my idea on the ground. I started failing. That period, I just got married, and my wife, she told, if you really think it can happen, try it. I changed my whole strategy. I started picking up one module at a time.
By 2005, Biplab had a working model. He called it a bungaroo, as this means hollow pipe in Gujarat. It's kind of like a meter-square container made of cement that is filled with sand. It connects to a pipe that goes at least 15 meters down into the ground. So when the monsoon rains come, the water flows into the bungaroo and forms a reservoir underground. The fresh water is then pumped out when needed. After this success, the team started tweaking the device to work in different scenarios.
We have now 17 key designs. Each designs have nearly 6 to 8 variations.
Each bungaroo can store anything from 1 to 4 million litres of floodwater under the ground, which can irrigate more than 22 acres or around 90,000 square metres during the dry season. But then Biplab had to consider how to get this device into the hands of those who needed it most. His company, Narita Services, created a social enterprise model funded by profits from wealthier clients. They had realized that women were the least likely to own land, so they offered bungaroos to groups of 5 women in different villages across the state of Gujarat. Each collective had to agree to work together to install and maintain the device, plus to also share the benefits. Kinjal Ba joined one of these groups 5 years ago.
We
needed 4 to 5 women to dig the bungaroo, and the water from our farms gathered in it and meant we could all benefit. We could now grow a crop during the monsoon, and the rainwater harvested meant we could grow a good crop in winter. Plus, in summer, we could sow crop for cattle feed.
We are doing much better and are able to repay the loan for the wedding. We have become stronger through farming, and even my husband can now farm rather than look for other work.
Tanuba is the head of Kinjalbar's group. She explained how they enjoyed greater dignity and standing in the village thanks to the bungaroo.
We used to buy water from the people who had borewells, but we then had to give 1/3 of our total produced crop to get that water. Now, whatever we produce is ours, and the water sellers can't do anything about it. Our husbands are happy because we are increasing the household earnings.
There is nothing like a happy husband. Tanuba says her annual crop doubled from 700 kilograms to 1,400 kilograms. This enabled her to send her children to school, which helped her eldest son to get a job and get married. Now, a bungaroo won't work everywhere, as the soil has to meet certain conditions, but it's been life-changing where it's worked and has won awards from the UN and World Bank. So far, more than 5,000 bungaroos have been installed in India, with dozens more in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Ghana, and Rwanda. Well, that's all from us today, and join me again next week for more positive news. Until then, thanks for listening.